Okay, so till now we have seen how we can inject the member variables, which are primitives or the objects, through the spring.xml. But if we have collection, then how we can map those collections also, or inject the values of those collections through spring.xml. So we'll look into that in today's tutorial. So Spring also support collections injection of the member variables. So let's see how we can do that. In this manager class, I say the manager has three address. Say, okay, before collection, let me tell you how we can map the multiple ones. Okay, so now this manager has three addresses. So in this spring.xml, in order to inject all the three addresses, I will have the three instance of bean. So this is first. Let me create another one. Same thing you can have it in director also, but for the director, for the time being, I have just kept the primitives in that. And we saw how we can map the how we can inject the values of primitives through spring.xml, how we can inject the object basically through spring.xml, like a manager is having some address, you can say, which is an object only. So today we are seeing the collections one. Okay, so we are having three beans. Let's name this as 1, 2 and 3. All three are of address class only. Let me change the value. Let it be Ludhiana. Let it be Delhi. So these are the three address. Fine. Now in the manager, I am having a property. Three properties I have in the manager class of type address only. So what are the names? It's address 1, address 2, address 3, and they are referring address 1, or you can just rename it to address A, B and C, so that you're not confused like why I'm giving the reference and the address name same. So it's A, B, C. And by default, we discussed in the last tutorial that a bean scope is singleton, and prototype will create a new bean for every get, so we am just keeping it to default only for the time being. Clear? So what we have done is, in the manager class we are having three properties: address 1, address 2, address 3 of address class, and all those three properties I have injected it from my spring.xml by creating three beans of the address class A, B, C, different instantiation, and then referring it to three beans. So in the display address, now I'll display get address.1 get city. Let's just display the city only. You can display like this, that manager first address is So just copy this, we'll get the second address and we'll get the third address. Okay, now I'm not having you. Let me do it by manager. So let's run it and let's see what we are getting. So we got the manager first address, second address, and the third address, whichever I defined in my spring.xml. So this is how we can like inject multiple member variables of a class, even if it is a primitive or an object, by referring it to them. Now let's discuss about the collection support in Spring Core. So now instead of having 3, I'll just have 1. Let me just comment it out so that I can also delete this. What I will have is, let me do it, private say list address from java.util. I'll just import it. Let me create a setter and getter for it. Let me just comment this. Okay, so now I have a list of addresses for that particular manager. So do the same job, but how I will inject this list through my Spring. So for that, instead of doing this, we have 3 collections like list, set, and map, and Spring support all those 3, list as well as set as well as map. You just have to define the tag list, set, or map in my spring.xml. So let me just comment this out for the time being, and I will say that my property name is what? Its address, and inside this I have a list which is referring to a bean, address A. Let's end it. Okay, fine. So I have just simply removed this property of, I have just removed that I am having 3 member variables of address type. Rather, I have just kept a list which is an address, and in this list will be automatically converted or type conversion and populated through my spring.xml by just defining the list tag in this property, that this property name is of type list. So it will initialize that list. It will also populate that list by referring it to three beans A, B, and C, and inject them. So we should get the same output. Let's run it. Rest, I have not made any changes. Okay, sorry, I haven't displayed anything in address, so it's not showing. So for that, in order to display the list, I need to iterate through that list. That is through for each. Let's just copy this only. We will not have this. Yeah, so here I will have address to dot get city. We don't need these two. Automatically it will print me the address. So now manager has 3 house and 3 address. So let's display the data. Yes, so I'm getting manager addresses are Chandigarh, Ludhiana and Delhi. So I got all the 3 values which are populated in the list. So this is how Spring will support the collections. Even if you want to have set or map, you have that tag. So if I'll just show you, see, you have a set also. Other than that, you have a map also. So it supports all the 3 collections, that is list, set as well as map. So that's all about the collection support in Spring.